What is going on, everybody? It's the Franz, and we're here for a Smackdown review for your Friday, November the 13th, 2020. Yes, it is Friday the 13th. Nothing crazy as far as I can tell happened on this day, but we did have another decent episode of Smackdown on Fox. Of course, we're inside the Thunderdome. We're getting closer and closer to the end of that. Survivor Series, of course, is next Sunday. And Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman start off the show. They come out. Reigns has his power go off. He stands in the ring, takes the mic, and talks about relevancy and how he's helped Jey Uso stay relevant. He points out how Jey made Daniel Bryan disappear, how he destroyed Kevin Owens last week, and how he will lead my team, Team Smackdown, to victory at Survivor Series. He brings up how his match with Randy Orton at Survivor Series and respects Randy Orton's accomplishment, but not the man himself. Out comes, for whatever reason, Drew McIntyre, who of course challenged Randy Orton for the WWE Championship this coming Monday, because WWE has to do this thing where, since the last pay-per-view was over Clash of Champions, the day after and the Friday after that, Hell in a Cell, not Clash of Champions, but Hell in a Cell, WWE has been pointing out, if this champion is still champion at Survivor Series, it'll be this champion versus this champion. They've been saying that on both Raw and SmackDown, and it's kind of stupid. Nobody's losing their championships this close to Survivor Series. There's just no reason to. Bobby Lashley's not losing his. Sami Zayn's not losing his. Roman's not losing his. Sasha Banks and Asuka not losing theirs. The only one that I could say maybe might lose their championship is the New Day, just because the New Day's been champions for so long, but everyone wants to see the Street Profits versus the New Day. And I just don't see the Hurt Business winning them on Monday. But yes, that's what they've been doing, and it's like, well, we've been saying it, so we gotta have impromptu title matches that make no goddamn sense on the road to Survivor Series, because unless something happens on Monday and Friday next week, this will be the first year since 2016's draft that we don't have the annual SmackDown vs. Raw invasion. And then I asked myself this: what was the point of the draft if Raw and SmackDown talent can be on both shows? I know the week after we had the farewell matches of the New Day, we had the farewell matches of Seth Rollins or this person or that person going on Raw and SmackDown the week after the draft. Fine, whatever. But that was weeks ago. Drew McIntyre's out here. He also reminds the last time him and Roman Reigns were in the ring together was at the Royal Rumble, when he was eliminating him to win the Royal Rumble, and then he went to WrestleMania, won the WWE Championship, and held it for months while Roman Reigns took his ball, went home, and left the WWE hanging. Left the universe hanging, left SmackDown hanging, left the WWE as a whole hanging. And what happened? Drew McIntyre picked that ball up and he ran with it until, of course, Randy Orton took the title from him. And he said to him that he is the man now, he is the guy who will beat Randy Orton and head into Survivor Series and show Reigns who the top champion really is. Of course, Reigns called the WWE Championship the secondary title, which I don't care who's holding that Universal Championship. It will never, and I repeat, never supersede the WWE Championship whatsoever. That WWE title's been around since the 60s. It has had great champion after great champion. There's been some lowlights too. Let's not forget about Jinder Mahal and Vince McMahon being WWE champion. But the Universal Championship so far, outside of Brock Lesnar taking it home a couple times, and currently this Roman Reigns title reign, which looks like finally broke the damn curse. You had Finn Balor get injured the night he won it. Kevin Owens have a lackluster championship reign. Let me see here. Roman Reigns having to give it up because of his leukemia battle. Braun Strowman having a lackluster championship reign. The Fiend having Seth Rollins having a decent reign the first time, but getting beat by Brock Lesnar because of Money in the Bank, and then having that shit feud with the Fiend. The Fiend really not doing anything with it the first time and then holding it for a week. This championship it just feels like it's fucking cursed. So Jey Uso comes running down and it says, dude, cuz I got this. Drew, what the hell are you doing here, cuz? I didn't invite you, he didn't invite you, what are you doing here? Because we run this show, we're running things around here, and you could just see while he's talking down and berating Drew McIntyre with words, just the look of disgust on Roman Reigns' face completely. He is pissed off that Jey would even think of coming down here and talking about having a match with Drew McIntyre when who's the head of the table? Who runs the show? It's Roman Reigns. So, yes, Roman is not a happy camper at this time. He asks for match one-on-one against Drew McIntyre. Drew shoves him and he goes flying back. He gets up to retaliate, but Reigns puts his arm out and is like, back up, man. Nope, we got this. Has them both leave. Drew's music hits. And that was that. Still to come, Rey Mysterio versus Seth Rollins for the final time, they say. Also, Sami Zayn defends against Apollo Crews. Back to commercial break. Back from break, and Roman Reigns is in the back yelling at him. He's furious, saying, you saying us, we, them, us, what? Who runs this show? I run this show. I'm the Universal Champion. You don't go out and make matches yourself. I make the matches. He is just giving this guy an earful for the simple fact is he came out there and embarrassed Roman Reigns, and nobody, and I repeat, nobody embarrasses Roman Reigns. And Jay's like, fine, man, I'll take it. I'll handle it. And he walks off. So Roman doing his best to do it is, like I said, Roman Reigns, best thing on SmackDown. Bayley and Sasha Banks have been the best thing on SmackDown for the longest time. That's done and over with mostly for now. So I don't know what you're going to... Carmella versus Sasha Banks is not going to have the same appeal as Bayley and Sasha Banks. So SmackDown, and especially with Rey Mysterio and Seth Rollins ending tonight, apparently, WWE is taking the interest of a lot of people and just removing them. And they got to find things for people to get interested in because Reigns and Jey and that whole thing can only do so much. Back from break and Intercontinental Champion Sami Zayn is in the ring. He says he didn't find out he had to defend his title against former U.S. champion until 7 p.m. That's about a little over an hour before this match was to take place. He's used to this treatment, but he will use it as an opportunity. He addressed it to address the United States champion Bobby Lashley for the Survivor Series match. Out comes Apollo Crews. And I'm thinking to myself, why is this guy getting a match? I mean, yes, if they wanted Sami Zayn to lose the championship to give us Bobby Lashley versus Apollo Crews again, it would have made sense. But did you really think that Apollo Crews was beating Sami Zayn tonight? Absolutely not. Let's see. So, this is a short match. Sami dodges an attack and goes to the floor for a breather. Sami pulls Apollo pulls the apron covering off. Apollo follows, but Sami sends him side first into the side of the apron, and Apollo has to sell it as if it's worse than you would usually feel, because of course the apron's missing, and that apron is very thin. So Apollo's down. Sami takes his foot, puts it into the wiring or string or whatever they use, the rope, whatever they use to pull the canvas down, and ties his leg into there, kicks him a couple times, gets into the ring, and he wins by count out. Sami Zayn keeps the championship, and Apollo Crews loses and gets screwed. Adam Pearce is backstage with Drew McIntyre talking about his contract and how WWE how Drew wants to fight tonight. Pearce makes it an unsanctioned match despite Drew's Raw contract, because apparently Raw and SmackDown talent can be on the same brand. They can come to the same show like Drew McIntyre did tonight, unless it's a invitational match, which just wasn't an invitational match, if that's like the brand invitational, or they have to be at a pay-per-view, they can't have a sanctioned match, even though when we get to the match, it's like the referee and Drew McIntyre and everyone treats it as a sanctioned match. We'll talk about that later. Drew says, you know me, you've been around me, you know what I've been thinking. They both say yes, and he walks off, so we're going to have an unsanctioned match as the main event. Kayla Braxton is backstage with Rey Mysterio, his whole family. Rey cuts her off and says, this isn't about what Seth has did to him. This is about his family being brought into all of this. Well, Rey, I'm going to tell you this right now. If you wouldn't have brought your daughter, your wife, and your son to Raw all those months ago, they wouldn't be in this. That's on you, Rey. That's not on Seth. You brought them to Raw all those months ago. Well, you brought Dominic because Dominic was getting us that contract. Whatever, fine, that's fine. Did you need to bring Aaliyah? Did you need to bring Angie? No. So you have no one to blame about what happened to your family but yourself. And that's a fact. Rey goes inside, he will be final chapter in the rival with Rollins. Rey says, let's see, hold on. Where'd it go? Oh, here it is. Rollins calls himself the Desire, but he's nothing but the devil. Rey says he's going to send Rollins back to the soul-crushing hell where he belongs tonight. You bet on that. Back from the ring, and out comes Women's Champion Sasha Banks with Greg Hamilton to do the introductions. Sasha poses in the ring. Pyro goes off. Back to commercial break. Back from break, and the unsanctioned match was made official. We see how Banks retained the title over Bayley for the first time in her career on the main roster. We also see a post-match attack by Carmella. Cole plugs Banks for Raw Women's Champion Asuka at Survivor Series. Banks talks about the highs and the lows she's been through and says, the haters said I couldn't retain. But here I am, your Smackdown Women's Champion. And she mentions Carmella's name. And she pretty much says, everyone in the back, I'm your champion, you need to step up so I don't have to step over you. She says, and Carmella, I know you're listening, and then Bayley's music hits. Out comes Bayley, and you can see when Bayley's music hits, Banks lowers the mic from her mouth, looks over towards the commentators, and is like, are you freaking kidding me? Are you kidding me? So Bayley comes down for but it's only a distraction as Carmella comes from behind, super kicks her, tells her to watch her back, hits the X Factor, and exits the ring as Banks recovers. So yes, this feud's going to be happening. This will be your pay-per-view match in December, unfortunately. Will it be in the Amway Center? Hell no. WWE's time in the Amway Center is almost up because the Orlando Magic are coming back into town by the end of the month, next month, and they're going to need to get the Amway Center ready. Otis is backstage eating food because I need to see him catering, which is where he's going to be in the next 6 months. We see Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler talking trash about him right to his face. Tucker and what happened with Tucker and how Mandy still attacks Ziggler. Then they act like they just noticed he's there. Otis is upset. He flips the table over and stands back to commercial break. Yeah, because that's fun. We get a promo of the 18th annual tribute to the troops, which will be happening next month. Apparently, they're going to be... I'm pretty sure they're going to tape it at the end of this month. They're going to bring soldiers into the Thunderdome, apparently, with their families. And they're going to have a tribute to the troops with actual live people there. I don't know how that's going to work, what they're going to do. Are they going to do like they do in NXT, where they'll have them caged off and make them look like the fucking... Like, it works in NXT because NXT is supposed to always felt like that underground type thing. Like, it's supposed to have that underground type vibe. I actually think the cages and everything makes NXT look more like it should. It's the anti WWE, what it calls a storyline, except for the storylines have been pretty much WWE main roster-esque, and they're terrible. I mean, seriously, who thought it was a good fucking idea to have Johnny Gargano challenge, put his title on the line and lose to a guy like Leon Ruff? a guy who only won one match, has lost one match in NXT, and hasn't won until this past Wednesday. Who thought that was a good idea? Anyway, Otis takes on Dolph Ziggler. Who gives a shit? I even texted this out on Parler and said, "Wow, how far and fast Otis has fallen in WWE." Then again, Vince McMahon never really had plans for Otis. I'll say it once. I said it once, and I'll keep saying it. Otis should have never won the Money in the Bank briefcase. Otis was not worthy of the Money in the Bank briefcase. Otis was never going to win. Was never going to cash it in. Let's see. Since Otis won the Money in the Bank briefcase before he lost it at Hell in a Cell, Drew McIntyre was WWE champion, and Braun Strowman was WWE champion. Otis wasn't beating either one of them. Then The Fiend won it for a week. Otis wasn't cashing in on him. Drew McIntyre lost it to Randy Orton, and Roman Reigns was the WWE as the Universal Champion. So Otis wasn't cashing in on either one of them either. So Otis being the Universal Champion, the Money in the Bank briefcase holder, never made sense. It was always going to be like this. It was like I said, and I'll say it again. He peaked at WrestleMania. Nothing he did after WrestleMania helped him whatsoever. They struck gold with the Otis Mandy love storyline, which honestly went nowhere and doesn't seem to have any conclusion since she's on Raw now and he's on Smackdown. But yeah. So they have this match. Otis wins with the Vader Bomb in the corner after hitting the Caterpillar. Rude tries to get involved. He does cause a distraction for a bit, but that does nothing. Big Caterpillar elbow. Vader Bomb. 1, 2, 3. Seth Rollins is backstage talking to Andreas Murphy. Cole says tonight match will be a no-holds-barred. Back to commercial break. Back from break, and Otis is backstage ranting about staying focused. Chad Gable walks up and says that's what Otis needs to do every week. You can do that every week, but you need some discipline. He sizes him up and says some discipline. A mentor. And then hands him a pamphlet for his services. Otis gets hyped up. He's loving the idea. Otis walks off, and Gable sits there and is so glad that he's wearing his Chad Gable gear again. I'm so happy to get rid of that stupid name. But he watches him walk off, and you see this evil smile, evil grin come across his face. What does Chad Gable have in store for Otis? Tucker lost weight, man. Tucker had that match with Ricochet, and then of course the 7-way this past Monday, and he looks nothing like he did when he was a part of Heavy Machinery. I don't know what he did, but dude looks great now, even though WWE's doing nothing with him. Seth Rollins versus Rey Mysterio, no holds barred match. I'm going to be real honest here. I did not get to see much of this match. I was sitting here, I'm watching, and I got to see the first 2-3 minutes of it, and I closed my eyes for a second. I woke up, and the next thing I saw was, so I have no idea what happened in this match. I literally passed out for about for the majority of this match. The only thing that I saw was that Murphy and the Mysterios were in the ring. Aaliyah goes over to hug Murphy. She's all happy. Rey Mysterio and Dominic and Angie all accept Murphy and Aaliyah's relationship. So, I have no idea. Of course, Eddie Guerrero passed away 15 years to the day. It's absolutely sad. I remember where I was. I was in my grandparents' house. I was 15. I was 15 at the time. 15 years, wow. I was 15. I just got out of school. I was sitting at home. I was sitting at my grandparents' house because that's where I was living at the time. And I turned on the computer and went to. I wasn't. I just got out of school. That's right. It was on a Sunday. But I just turned on the WWE webpage, and on the headline was Eddie Guerrero passed away. And I'm one of those people who tries to hold in all that, and it was so hard not to, break down and just lose it because Eddie Guerrero was awesome. I didn't get to be there. I didn't get to see Eddie for the Attitude Era, and everything that was going on during the invasion and everything up until 2003, because from 2001 or 2000 to 2003, I didn't get to really do anything when it came to watching professional wrestling because of where our family was living at the time. We only got 7 and 9. That's it. But when I got back into wrestling and everything and got to watch it again, Eddie Guerrero was great. His promos were great. Watching him wrestle, watching the Rey Mysterio Eddie Guerrero match at WrestleMania, then the Dominic match at SummerSlam that year was great. And then just going and seeing that news report that Eddie Guerrero passed away, it was just horrible. Terrible. And it sucked. That was a very, very emotional day. So yeah, it's been 15 years since we lost one of the greatest men to ever grace the wrestling ring. Ray paid tribute to Eddie, hits the frog splash, and gets the win. After Ray's family joins him in the ring, Murphy watches from the apron. Aaliyah goes to greet Murphy, but Ray stops her. Ray walks over to Murphy and motions for him to step into the ring. Ray tells Murphy to come in and face him like a man. Ray asks Murphy if he's looking for his approval. Here it is. Offers his hands, his fans cheer. Murphy shakes Aaliyah. Aaliyah runs over and hugs Murphy. Murphy walks over to the family and shakes hands with Dominic. Angie hugs Murphy. Ray's music starts back up. Murphy and the Mysterios family celebrate together. So, like I said, I'm sitting here and I'm usually, SmackDown's been really good lately, so I haven't had that moment of like, I'm going to fall asleep. I mean, I remember back 10 years ago or something, I'm sitting here watching SmackDown, or I'm sitting where I was at the time watching SmackDown, and about 2 minutes in, I'm already passed out, and I missed SmackDown, the entire episode of SmackDown, because it was that boring. But I don't know, it's just for whatever reason, it's probably because, here's the thing, it's probably because this feud had gone on for so goddamn long that I was like, you know what? I'm just going to close my eyes for like 2 seconds and I'll be back up. And boom, I missed the entire match. So I can't review that match or say how good it was or anything because I was out for that entire time. I got up, like I said, when, like, the first thing I saw when I opened my eyes again was Murphy shaking Rey Mysterio's hand and Aaliyah coming over to hug him, and then everyone giving approval for Murphy. Where does it go from here? I don't know. Ray gave his approval to his daughter and Murphy. Dominic and Angie did too. Let it go. You know what I want to actually see? Murphy and Dominic teaming up. Murphy and Dominic, tag team champions. Murphy and Dominic becoming a great team on SmackDown. Rey Mysterio could be the guy in the back managing them. That would be great. Rey Mysterio's got Rey Mysterio's not got that much time left in his career. Dominic and Murphy still have a lot of time left in their careers. And Murphy and Dominic can learn so much working with Murphy and his father, of course, that it would also keep Aaliyah around. She could be with her man, and you could have a great tag team, build into a great tag team with Murphy and Dominic. That's just what I'm thinking they could do. Let me know what you think about that. Murphy and Dominic, tag team, future SmackDown tag team champions. And then they could play it up for later on to when eventually Murphy does turn and all that stuff. Adam Pearce is backstage with Natalya. He cuts her off saying he's put her in a triple threat match for the team. She can't understand. She's like, that's not what I want. Why? I can't understand why you won't just name me to the team. I'm the only person who can help the team win. Pearce apologizes and says that triple threat is next. Natalya storms off and she's not happy. Then we see a female hand touch the shoulder of Adam Pearce, and a former NXT star who everyone thought was going to be going to Retribution. It's not Mercedes Martinez. We'll talk about who it is in a second. Appears, smiles, and Pearce, and we go back to commercial break. Talking Smack tomorrow will show Otis, Sasha Banks, and the Mysterio families plus Murphy. Rollins is backstage beating on the door of Adam Pearce. He's furious at wants a shot at Murphy and says he's made Murphy and now he wants the chance to destroy him. He even said, I am done with Rey Mysterio. I don't want to even see his face anymore. So, yeah. I honestly hope, like I just mentioned, I hope whatever they do left with the whole Mysterio Murphy-Seth thing leads to Murphy and Dominic forming a bond, a brotherly bond of some sort, and becoming a tag team. I think that would be great. Two guys who could go out there and cause a whole lot of greatness. We could have that be a great tag team for the Street Profits to go up against. Ziggler and Rude to go up against. So much. This would be a great way. Because, yeah, Rey Mysterio doesn't have much time left. He's still not completely, probably fully back from that injury that he had. I think it was a torn bicep. Yeah, I think he could definitely. It'd be beneficial for Dominic to get into a tag team for about 6 to 8 months with Murphy. I think it would be great. Give him a cool nickname. I don't know. They could come up with a cool team name. Survivor Series qualifying match, Natalya, Liv Morgan, and Tamina was what we think we were going to get. By the way, next week is the go-home show. SmackDown's women's team only has 2 members at the time of this match starting. Only 2. Why did they only do 1 qualifying match a week? They could have did 2 last week, 2 this week, and then the final 1 next week. No. So, all 3 women are out here. Helen Turner interrupts and says, "This match is now a fatal 4-way. Introducing the 4th competitor, Chelsea Green." This was the woman who was with Adam Pearce. So, this is Chelsea Green's debut on SmackDown. Her official debut. She's been on Monday Night Raw during the beginning of this scamdemic, if I'm correct, losing to Charlotte a couple times. And so, this match pretty much has, I'm just going to say now, Liv Morgan wins the match, as she should have. Hitting her facebuster into the knees on Tamina after doing it to Natalya, and Natalya kicking out. But you had Chelsea Green make her debut. The first thing she does, I believe, she punches at Tamina, and then Tamina just hits her in the throat or something, and she drops. So they all try to get rid of Tamina. Chelsea Green and Natalya go out to the outside. They throw Tamina into the barricade. Chelsea Green stops Natalya from going back in for a minute. Liv knocks Green off the apron, and that is the last time we see Chelsea Green in this match. So Chelsea Green was in a qualifying match to get on Survivor Series, and she hardly did anything. Because the majority of the match that we hear from here on out is Liv Morgan getting out of the sharpshooter, a rest hold by Natalya, Liv Morgan hitting her finisher on both Natalya and Tamina, and her pinning Tamina. What was the point of bringing Chelsea Green out if you weren't going to have her win or even do much in this match? She came out, she did a couple things, she got knocked off the apron, and then disappeared. So, again, like I stated last week, I think it was, Natalya is going to continue to lose these matches until it comes down to the last spot, and Natalya is going to be on the show. She was in the first triple threat match, was not on the losing end of the triple threat match. She was the one not involved. Last week, she let go of the sharpshooter while the recently released Zelina Vega, who got fired tonight, by the way, Zelina Vega no longer in WWE, tapped out to Ruby Riott. And now tonight, Natalya gets beat. Gets left out in the cold again. There are 2 spots left. Next week is the go-home show. And SmackDown needs to fill the other 3 spots, or other 2 spots. If I'm correct, SmackDown's men's team also has an open spot, right? Open spot or 2, and they didn't have any men's matches tonight. Let's see, Seth Rollins and Otis. They had 3 spots on SmackDown's team, right? How is it that SmackDown doesn't even have a full Survivor Series team for the men yet? What the fuck are they doing? So Liv Morgan won. The Riot Squad are both on Team Survivor Series for SmackDown. Drew McIntyre is ready for the night's main event, and taunts Jey Uso, warning him that it's more humiliating to get your ass kicked in your own backyard. And then we go to, speaking of disappointments that we have to talk about, Big E. This singles run of his has been an absolute disappointment. I mean, the bloody and brutal Falls Count Anywhere match between him and Sheamus was the peak. Because since then, he's been doing comedy skits backstage. Last week, he was in a what was it? He was in an ugly sweater playing Trivial Pursuit with a stagehand betting money. Tonight, he was betting on another stagehand if they could do enough jump rope to see if he can do enough in a row, and he didn't, so he won more money. Street Profits come over with three plates covered, and then they pull them off, and it's 3 different types of food, all shaped in the letter L. So Big E and them have words, and Big E walks off. The Street Profits are faking laughing, and then they just stop it, and they get serious. So, unless they're going to beat the bejesus out of Big E next week, I don't really care. Of course, they're going to be facing the New Day. At least, New Day will hurt business next week at Survivor Series. I'm already over Big E as a single star because WWE has dropped the ball already. Unsanctioned match, Drew McIntyre versus Jey Uso. This was a decent match. Drew McIntyre, what we've been seeing on SmackDown lately in the main events have been over the last 3 weeks and so, is can Jey Uso handle being a main event talent? And he has come through every single time. You don't always have to win your matches to be a main event star. And the dude is coming out there and he's doing what he needs to do to be out there with guys like a Drew McIntyre, with his cousin Roman Reigns. This guy, I could literally see taking the title off of Sami Zayn after Survivor Series, going into TLC, winning that championship, not because he wants to, but because his cousin told him he has to. Go win that championship and bring it to the family so we can feed our family even more. I could see that happening. Because honestly, yes, I know it's going to be kind of dumb because he's supposed to be a heel and Sami Zayn's a heel, but somebody needs to take that head off of Sami Zayn. So this was a back and forth match. Drew McIntyre, Jey Uso hanging with Drew McIntyre the entire time. Roman Reigns' music hits towards the end of the match. He comes out with Paul Heyman, the fake fans boo. Reigns marches at ringside. Drew waits for the bottom of the ramp. Uso takes advantage of the distraction and sends him into the ring post. Then another ring post. He keeps control. Throws him into the steel steps. He rolls Drew into the ring and tells his Reigns he's gonna beat him. He's gonna beat him. He goes to roll into the ring, but Reigns stops him and doesn't care if he beats him. He wants Uso to make Drew understand. And Dre's like, what? Make him understand. Uso gets back to the ring, mounts Drew with some big heavy lefts and rights. Uso gets up like an idiot, but Drew levels him with a big claymore. 1, 2, 3, and he wins. While Reigns stares down. After the match, he hits the ring. He immediately exits the ring. He stops and gets in Reigns' face and asks if he understands him now. Reigns motions the title on his shoulder and tells Drew to get him one of these. Then they can talk on Survivor Series Sunday. He turns, walks up the ramp, and exits the ring. And his exit as SmackDown goes off the air. Pretty decent show overall. SmackDown is just leagues better than Raw. I mean, is it the best show of the week? No, of course, that's still on Wednesday night. But it's still leagues better. Other than me passing out for whatever reason for however long the Mysterio match was, this show was good. I would say that. You know what they didn't have? No Lars Sullivan bullshit this week. Thank you on that. Big E needs to stop being a prankster, stop being a jokester because it's not even funny. It's just comedy garbage that nobody cares about but one old senile old man. But That is your SmackDown review. It was a pretty decent show for what I got to see. Hit that subscribe button, comment down below, like or dislike this video. Find me on Twitter. I'm starting on Paul at the France Club. Fuck Twitter. Find me on twitch.tv/France Club and find me on Instagram at the France Club. And I'll see you guys Monday for another episode of the worst show of all, Monday Night Raw. Until then, my name is France, and I'll see you guys later.